which is more important in fighting games, good movement or good reaction? So, there's so many different, techniques and tools in fighting games that you need to learn, as far as spacing, footsies, meter management, and stuff like that. Having good buttons. There's so many things that you can learn within fighting games to make you a great player. But out of these two, good movement and good reactions, which would, you know what to do, Evan. But 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 out of those two things, like, which do you feel like is a more important fundamental? Starting with you, Mr. Gamer.
It's movement. That's movement, man. That moonwalk capabilities, man. Gotta have good movement, man. Like that's the thing that I try to make sure I have on point in all fighting games. I play movement, especially games like Marvel, Tekken. Movement, gotta have movement. Any game, if there's a high level movement option, I'm gonna learn it. Like MK11, the wave dashing. Like some characters wave dashes were trash, but most characters I played that wave dashes were good. Rain probably had the best wave dash in the game. So it's like you learn that movement. It opens up your opportunities and options to punish and stuff. Reactions are good, don't get me wrong, but it's like I feel like movement allows for better reaction because it allows for more time for better reactions. So if you put yourself in a good spot, let's say you're playing footsies and you're trying to vie for space to punish somebody's whiff button attempt or whatever. If you move to the right spot to make them whiff, you give yourself a better chance, a better opportunity of being able to react to what they're about to do and punish accordingly. So that's why I say the movement I feel like is a better tool. Being able to get around the screen better. Games like Marvel where you have like a lot of stuff going on, a lot of projectiles, being able to, like, for instance, plink dash in the air with flight characters like Magneto. Learning how to do that in the air, Magneto is like pretty much essential, I would say. Like any character that could do that in the air, you had to learn it. Like at a higher level, being able to plink dash in the air was like super important. And then like when Marvel started, they had wave dashing. Wave dashing was cool. And then they found out, oh, we can plink dash. That's even better than wave dashing. Plink dashing was harder to learn than wave dashing, but it was so much more efficient. So once you learn it, it's like you open up your options. Like I can move around the screen so much faster now. I can get away from you so much faster now. I can get in on you so much faster now. So I feel like the reactions to me kind of come second because depending on how you move around and where you place yourself at on the screen, that, in turn, like gives you the opportunity for better like reactions and stuff like that. And sometimes you don't have to react as much. If you put yourself in a better position movement wise, you can be like, oh, I'm away from you now, so I ain't got to react to this. Or you threw a fireball, I moved away a certain distance. Now I gave myself more time and more room to react and punish that fireball. So I say movement for sure. And I just like movement. So that's I'm kind of biased in a sense anyway with that, but don't get me wrong, reactions are important. You got to be able to react to stuff, but I just think if you put yourself in a better position on the screen, you like, okay, I see where I'm at, and then with movement, you can make them come to you. You can make them move. Like, oh, then he moves to the full screen. He's in on me now, so I got to change up something. So being able to close those gaps and then increase those gaps like at a whim is super important, man. So I'm definitely gonna go with the movement. Got to put your blue suede shoes on and dance across that floor, man.
Footloose.
Oh, I don't know, man. Like, I think that, yeah, I think reactions are important, but yeah, I have to agree that I think movement is kind of really important in fighting games. There's I mean, Tekken, it pretty much for the most part is a movement-based game. Like, there's almost no getting around it. Like, the spacing is the most important thing. Well, creating space to bait whiffs and stuff like that, so you can capitalize and then get maximum damage, or even just to be able to do damage collection over time. Like if you can jump in, hit somebody, and then back up really quick, that's that's an important thing to be able to do. I think learning one of the most important techniques, and we've talked about this before, I guess, in Tekken, even though I'm not a huge fan of it because I don't think I just don't like it in general, is the Korean backdash, in order, like, it's not something you got to know day one, but it is something that's important to have in your toolkit in order to play the game the way that, like, play the game in a more efficient manner. You know, you got to be able to like back up. You got to be able to back up. You got to be able to like move back just enough to create that little bit of space so that they whiff that electric wind godfist, so you can come in and hit them with the savage down forward 2, so you can hit them with that optimized combo into a wall splat. You know, like that's what it takes, man. Is that movement, being able to sidestep on time, being able to sidestep and block, like in Soul Calibur. Like, you know, like there's a lot of characters like Ivy. Like I play against my boy Retribution, and he uses Ivy pretty well. And the idea is that you can't just like hope you're going to be able to react to everything that Ivy's doing from, like, you know, close, mid, long range. You got to be able to move around a little bit and get in on her, because I mean, it's not like she's defenseless at close range, but the likelihood of you actually being able to do something, to be able to make something happen, is better at like that range than it is like all the way like at her optimal range where she can like stab you in the foot and stuff like that. Yeah, man. In like games like Street Fighter, of course, like movement is real important. Like, you know, I go back to I go with what I know, right? So I play like a character like Ed, who can like basically kind of shimmy across the field pretty well. Yeah, his movement is actually pretty good. Like he moves pretty quickly back and forward on the field and stuff like that. So he can get in on somebody really quickly, move backwards. He's got even his V reversal is technically movement based. So like it doesn't knock anybody back or anything like that. What it does is it like you block and then you can move to the other side of the other person. Like or if they're doing a projectile or something like that, you like block and then you can move like closer to the enemy that you're fighting. Like that's 100% movement and positioning based. Like there's no real like oh man, I'm gonna like knock you back or I'm gonna damage you. It's 100% movement and positioning based to put you in a better spot so you can do something more I would say more damaging to your enemy, or perhaps put you in a better place to do like something that's more defensive. Like I remember, this is a good example. I was playing a little while ago. I was playing against an Alex player, and he had done his like V trigger, and I had like no health left, and this guy was getting ready. I knew what he was going to do. He was getting ready to combo into doing basically an EX grab. So he punched twice. On the second punch, I did the V reversal, and he was going for the grab, but by the time he went for the grab, I wasn't even there anymore. So then like now I'm in a position where I could actually do something, and I won the match because of that. Just because I wasn't there when he needed me to be. Like he needed me to be in that spot for him to be able to win the match. But since I wasn't there, he didn't win the match. So yeah, like that's kind of what goes into like movement and positioning, spacing, and all that. Like that's part of it, man. Like it's all about where you are on the field as opposed to where your opponent is, what's going on, you know. And like Devin said, like the more space you have, like the more space you create, the more time you have to like collect your thoughts, get your mind together about what you want to do. Because if they're all up in your face, very oftentimes you're gonna be like, I don't know what to do. But if you've already created the space and you know where you want to be, you'd be like, okay, I need to be up in their face, or I need to be back here. Then you have those options. You can take advantage of whatever options you have and, you know, go from there and see how the match plays out. So yeah, I would agree. I would say that movement is definitely more important than reactions. It's not like reactions aren't important, because they are, but definitely I would say movement is more important than good movement is more important than good reactions.
All right, I might start saying some fighting game terminology that I might not know what the world I'm saying. So if that's the case, one of y'all gentlemen stop me and say you ain't making no sense. So when it comes to movement or reactions,
stop. You're not making any sense.
I appreciate it, man. I already knew, but when it comes to like reactions, like when I hear reactions, the first two things that come to my mind is punishing and countering, you know. And a lot of times those things might not be big deals. Like countering is something that might only be like for a character, you know, within a game. It might not be something you need to focus too much on when it comes to other characters. And punishing is definitely something that you need to learn in every game. But I agree with Devin when he said that, movement is kind of like reactions is kind of intertwined within movement. Like movement is a part of that in a lot of games, especially like 3D games, like, how you move can determine if you reacted the right way to counter a move or to punish a move. So, also when it comes to um, movement, like movement, I mean, is there really too many fighting games to where like movement isn't really a part of like the meta of the game? Like how you move really determines like how you're supposed to play the game. Like you said with Marvel, like I mean like if you don't know how to move in Marvel, can you really like say you know how to play the game? Like it's
That's
like
a, that's a solid statement.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's so intertwined within the game. It's like everybody, like Devin said, you got Magneto and everybody, and you sitting there just walking forward like, all right, when I get up, I'm gonna hit him. Like it's like you finna get dusted because as always they finna do what they always do. They finna somehow sneak up on you real fast and hit you with two low kicks, and then it's over with. So like movement is so important and so like ingrained within like the meta of games that it's just like you have to like the speed of characters and stuff like that is different, so you have to know the movement and stuff like that within games and how to act with that. Like if you're playing a character that's pretty much immobile, like you're playing like a Hugo or something like that, and somebody has somebody with a fast moving character like a Buki, you really need to know your movement, because that's gonna determine like how far away you need to be, like the distance and stuff, like how much can you let her get up on you, the things you can do if she gets up on you and stuff like that. And all that with movement, I mean, it includes like punishing and countering and stuff like that. So I just feel like movement is something that is definitely more important. And if you get movement down, you could count it depending on the game. You could probably already do these. You could probably already do the other thing, which is like what did I say? Reactions. So anybody else have anything to